Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Rick. I got a video today from NG Fire. Ricky Gervais brutally destroys woke culture. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. Ciao.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right, you know? It's... offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues, and sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that, but, you know...
Well, nothing's said, Gervais, as I would not have made a joke if my wife's hair, I would have made a joke about her boyfriend.
You can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing, you know, because I'm not doing it for the 200 egos in the room. I'm doing it for the 200 million people watching around who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires. And freedom of speech is so important these days. I've reached the age now where I don't care anymore. It's a sin. To joke about all the bad things, that's a waste, because that's exactly what we should joke about. You can get sued in this country for saying someone's gay if they're not, you know, which is a homophobic law, because you can't be sued the other way around. You can't be sued for saying someone's not gay if they are, which seems unfair, doesn't it? Relax. I'm going to be nice tonight. I've changed. Not as much as Bruce Jenner. And I found out my crime was that I dead-named her. Now, I'd never heard that term, you know, before a day after the Golden Globes, and that was saying her old name and even acknowledging that she used to be a man. But she did.
And is?
I saw him on the Olympic Games. It was decathlon. It was in everything. He was all over the place. Shot put and pole vault. He won a medal. He was famous. He was on telly all the time. But, you know, a big, famous man with a huge... I don't know, but, I mean, I'm guessing probably he's a big... But...
So you got to love Ricky Gervais, because the way he exposes these woke people is just so funny, and it actually makes you realise just how crazy it is. And to be honest, there's nothing they can do about it. He's too big to cancel, just like Dave Chappelle. Anyway, he never normally gets involved in politics, but in this next clip he actually is talking about politics, because even he has had enough of how corrupt these politicians really are. So let's check it out.
The worst thing is the in charge do what they want, and you know what, I can you know, I see all...
This is why I don't cover politics. This is why even if I choose a side, I'm like ashamed. I'm ashamed that both of our sides are complete trash. They're both railing us in the asshole with no lube. Just one is with one direction and the other is another direction.
All these people saying all the parties they were having and what all the stuff they were doing, and people saying, you know, that was the day I couldn't see my mum in hospital, or I couldn't go to my dad's funeral. And because the people in charge, the posh, privileged people in charge, were acting like Charlie Sheen. I mean, really rubbing salt in the wound. And as I say, I don't get political, but they're all shit.
Yep.
And the reason I'm making this video is because of Ace Tricks, who commented the other day. He said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming the majority of British people hate politics as much as most Americans. And to answer your question, yes, I would say most British people are fed up with modern day politics, where it doesn't matter who you vote for, it seems. It's the same old shit. They're not for the people. They'll say one thing to get in power, and then once they're in power, they'll do a complete 180 and do something else. So anyway, let's get straight into the video.
Pay tribute to Jeremy Corbyn, who's a friend as well as a colleague.
You wouldn't call Jeremy Corbyn a friend?
No. Friend as well as a colleague. We have to make the case for freedom of movement. We don't want open borders. Freedom of movement has gone and it's not coming back.
Cutting off power, cutting off water.
Well, I think that Israel does have that right. I was not saying that Israel had the right to cut off water, food, fuel or medicine. Wounded by the media, the Sun in this city, a hurt for this city. And I certainly won't be giving any interviews to the Sun during the course of this campaign.
Did you write an article for some newspaper the other day? Surely that's not going to gain you any support.
across the northwest. Would you write for them again, Sir Keir?
I would do, yeah.
Can you guarantee that under your leadership, the 2019 Labour commitments to nationalise water, energy, rail, the Royal Mail, they'll all be in Labour's next election manifesto?
I've made that commitment.
Bullshit.
Will you nationalise the big six energy companies, yes or no?
No.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
When are we going to stop taking went to Eton as a qualification to run the country? I mean, now. So that's why I'm doing this as well, because I've noticed all around, you know, there's a lot of annoyance and frustration, totally justified as well. Missing.
To me, it's the saddest thing is they won. They pit us, the people, against each other over picking. Doesn't matter who. Doesn't matter who we pick. Doesn't matter who we side with. Doesn't matter if, oh, I'm a Trumper or I'm a Kamala or you're a Trumper, you're a Kamala. It doesn't matter. We just hate each other because we're Trumpers and Kamalas, and they're just laughing to the bank. That's the problem I have with politics, and this is the problem I have with people comment down on politics. Oh, you should, you know, represent Trump. Oh, you should tell everybody you're going to vote for Trump. Oh, you know, you shouldn't vote for Trump because of this, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a fuck? Who really gives a fuck? They're either way are self-serving people that are going to use their positions to self-serve. We've seen it throughout all of time. There's nothing different. Why are we fighting each other over picking a team? And both of our teams are completely stupid to even pick from.
Information, anger. But I think the next pandemic is going to be like anxiety and depression, you know. God knows how it affects like teenagers who have had their...
A lot of our kids are pretty screwed socially. This is why the new generation that's like becoming adults now that grew up during the pandemic age are completely lost.
You know, some of the best years of their life sort of taken away. And college, I didn't go to college to study. You know what I mean? 3 years living at home, doing things on Zoom. That's not my idea. That's not my idea of a college experience.
It's kind of funny because the politicians love telling you how you should live and you should make cutbacks and times are going to be hard for you. But then 40% of all British Prime Ministers went to Eton, which is what Ricky talked about, which if you don't know, you may not be from the UK. It's basically a private school and it costs £63,000 a year to send your kid there. Imagine that. These rich people are spending double the average UK salary to send one child to this school per year. And then these kids grow up to be politicians and prime ministers and pretend they're one of you. Like, yeah, we're here to help the working class. But this isn't just the UK. This is all over the Western world. They'll pretend that, oh, look, I know you're struggling, even though we caused it. But don't worry, we're the government and we're here to help you. Meanwhile, they're living a life of luxury. Check this out.
Macron in France takes his $80,000 watch off under the table while he's talking to people about tightening up and about how this has to be done.
Et il y a les blocages, et les blocages, il faut pouvoir les lever quand il est. C'est pourquoi j'ai demandé de négocier, additionner, que nous avons pu faire.
Come on, man.
Oh, cultural appropriation. Have you heard of that? Cultural appropriation, the latest no-no. Now,
I have a video coming up about this. I think this is a weird thing. Asians view this so differently.
again, in my day, it was considered a good thing to swap ideas with other cultures, with other nations, to share things with other races, to assimilate. It was the opposite of racist. Now it's racist. Gwen Stefani got in trouble in her last video because she had her blonde hair in dreadlocks. People go, no, black people invented dreadlocks, you can't have them, you're white, that's racist. Jamie Oliver got in trouble when he put out authentic jerk chicken recipe. People go, no, black people invented that, you can't have it, you're white, that's racist. Now, black people, they use the N-word, don't they? We invented that. That's the one, isn't it? That's the one.
can give him that. That was ruthless.
See, this is why a lot of people love Ricky Gervais, because he can take all these topics that if you watch anybody else debate them, you'd be like pulling your hair out thinking, why are these people so dumb? They're so delusional. And then he just makes a joke about it. And it's funny. Check this out, okay? So there was a food bank funded by taxpayers. And the woman who ran it basically banned white people. And because of that, it was forced to close. She put a sign outside that said, the food inside is specifically for black and indigenous people only. So all I'm going to say to that is, if you're stopping poor people from getting free food, you're not on the right side of history.
Wow.
You're part of the...
Wow. I did not realize that racism matters to poor people too, because it really doesn't. When I was poor, all of my friends were poor. We grew up next to Compton. We didn't care. We didn't care. We were all poor, struggling, trying to make it.
The problem. Now, as this article is technically on the topic of minorities, let me play this last clip of Ricky Gervais and his opinion on what it's like to be a minority.
But these people are virtue signalling. They're trying to bring people down to raise their own status. And they say it's because, no, we're protecting minorities. Like, they're basically saying minorities haven't got a sense of humour, which is so patronising. And I get that as well, to what it's like to be outnumbered. In this country, we're still only 5% black, 5% Asian, 5% LGBTQ, you know, tiny numbers. Now, I'm a white, heterosexual multi-millionaire, right? There's less than 1% of us. Do I whine? No. Do I? I don't mind. I just get on with it. Come on, Rick. Come on, Rick. Just keep I'm like Rosa Parks. Do you know what I mean? I'm like... Except I fought for the right to never have to take a seat on a bus.
Anyway, that's the end of the video. So thanks for watching. Shout out to Ricky Gervais for exposing these woke people in the most genius way possible. Okay, the guy's an absolute legend. I just love the way he exposes these people. It's so funny to me.
You guys know me. I try not to get political, but, you know, elections are coming up, and people have really been pushing me on a lot of these topics. Like, I don't care. Like, I really don't. Because in the micro of things, I still have things to take care of around me. For me to even care about so much about what's happening around the world or outside of my sphere. I think people care too much outside of their sphere because whatever happens, happens. You can only control what's inside your sphere. So make sure that's okay and screw everything else. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that.